One, we are live with Alexis Shanti. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I love that you combined my two names, Alexis Neely and Ali Shanti. And I've been in consideration about whether I should do Alexis Shanti or Ali Neely or Alexis Neely Shanti, or yeah, there's lots of possibilities. But right now, Alexis Neely and Ali Shanti.
And Ali Shanti. Beautiful. Yeah, it's funny how that's coming up a lot in our community, name changes and all that good stuff. So even Ashley's considering a name change as well. So funny that you say that. But I'm really excited to be on this Google Hangout with you, to talk with you, to interview you for the Evo Room documentary series that we're going to be producing here. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and really before I had the questions outlined, but now I just kind of want to freestyle with you. And how I'd like to begin is just by asking you to share kind of your journey through life, a little bit about yourself as a start, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I grew up in Miami. And I often say that I grew up in the one place that's more superficial than Los Angeles. And it's challenging to grow up there because I felt so misunderstood. I felt like there were all these things that I knew. My heart felt really soft and tender. And it just kept getting crushed. Really what it felt like. And there was so much emphasis, at least in my family, on the exterior, that I don't feel that I really got the opportunity to get to know my interior self as a child. I didn't really get the understanding that my interior self had value. And so I did everything I could to build up my exterior self. And that included working as a Hooters waitress in college, and then going to law school right after college, working so hard in law school that I graduated first in my class from Georgetown. And in my last year of law school, getting married in February, pregnant in March, having my baby in November after moving down to Miami to clerk for a judge on the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, and then moving to California, where I got to start my career as a lawyer at one of the best law firms in the country. And that was the law firm that had been founded by Charlie Munger, who was Warren Buffett's, personal attorney. And I thought that's what I was going to be. I was going to be that kind of a personal attorney for my clients. But it wasn't like that. I was miserable, and I was scared because I had achieved success in the traditional world. Lawyer, 6-figure paycheck, best law firm in the country, married, baby, 28, 29 years old. And yet inside, it all felt like this can't be it. Something is wrong. And it was around that time I was looking for a church. Now this was kind of strange because I am Jewish and grew up to believe, or was led, told by my family history, my grandmother and my father, that God was for stupid people. So there was this conflict inside of me because on one hand I'm looking for a church, but God is for stupid people and I'm Jewish. So there was, a lot of confusion. And there was a lot of loneliness. I was incredibly lonely. I didn't fit in anywhere. As an associate at this law firm, I was one of the few women who I was the only woman who had a family. And I, at the same time in my community where I was a mom and the other moms, nobody else worked. So I didn't fit in either place. I didn't fit in with the moms and I didn't fit in with the women at the law firm. So again, more of this confusion and loneliness, deep, deep, deep loneliness. And it was around that time that I met a woman that, it really only can be seen in my eyes as divine intervention. My husband brought home, we found this preschool for my daughter. It was a parent participation co-op. And my husband brought home a phone list. And literally this woman's name, like, jumped out at me on the phone list, woo. And I'm like, who's that? And he said to me, oh, she's just some dumb bitch. Like, what do you mean she's just some dumb bitch? He said, oh, she goes to my meetings, because he was in AA. She goes to my meetings and, she didn't even give me the time of day. I'm like, well, she probably didn't even know who you were. He generally had a very negative attitude, believed the world was out to get him, which at one point I probably shared as well, but I had begun to make a shift. And he, that we kind of left it there. But about a week to 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in my office at work and she calls me on the phone, the same person. She said, hey, I'm putting together this play date and I would love for you to come, for all the kids in the class. And I was like, well, I'm a working mom. I work all day, but my husband, I bet he would love to go. And by the way, he knows you. He saw you in this AA meeting the other day. And she's
Wait,
like,
how'd she know you before
yeah.
that?
Because he had seen her in the class. So she had been in the class, and then he had seen her in the AA meeting, and she hadn't given him the time of day. Well, this woman was a very extroverted woman, social butterfly, always talking to everybody. Her name is Joanne. And when he, and he's very introverted. So she probably didn't even recognize or notice him. And he certainly didn't go up to her, So anyway, they go to the park day together and they end up connecting, and she and I end up she becomes my first mom friend. My first friend of, that she also has a child the same age. This was huge for me. And every time we would get together, she would keep talking about God. And every time she would say the word God, my stomach would go, "Ugh." I'd be like, oh my God, could she please stop talking about God? But I really wanted to have a friend. And so I just kind of went with it. And then she introduced me to Agape International Spiritual Center. And the minute that I walked in there, I was like blown away. This was the church I had been looking for. And I started going to Agape, and really my entire way of being in the world changed. I began to realize that everything wasn't dependent on me, because up until that point, I really believed that if I fucked up one little bit, everything was going to come tumbling down, because everything was dependent on me being perfect, showing up perfect. And what I learned through Agape and finding an understanding of God in my own life is that actually I'm really supported. And there is this bigger picture, and there is this higher source of energy that is holding me. And I didn't have to hold everything. And I could actually give things over to God, not some man in the sky, but this love intelligence that's governing the universe. And so that was the beginning of a long journey of personal growth. Definitely a long journey of personal growth. That was 13 years ago now. I'm 42 years old now. And there's so much that I could say that's happened over the years, but I think that the most important thing that I could say is that today I'm a completely, totally different woman, not just in name. I don't just have, another name, Ali Shanti, who I didn't even know then, but I am connected to my heart in a way I think I was as a young girl and a teenager. But I cut off that part of my connection for many years of my life because it was too painful to feel. Because there was so much hurt that was put on me or projected onto me that I didn't know how to be with or deal with, that I became a shell, really a shell, a facade, an image, a brand for a long time to protect myself from true intimacy. And through those years, I built $1 million law practice. I ended up leaving the law firm that I was at. I built $1 million law practice. I wrote a best-selling book on legal planning for parents. I became a legal expert on TV. And Then in 2009, I had my first ayahuasca ceremony. And I saw that all this success that I'd created around myself was once again a false mirage of exterior protection to, yeah, I think just really protect my heart. And at that point, after creating so much success, you know, success in the traditional world, and this big brand and image and all of that, I saw that the exterior success that I had created, the house by the ocean, the kids in private school, the $1 million of businesses, all of this was actually creating disconnection. There's tons of conflict in my businesses, so much internal conflict. And I was chasing this goal of financial freedom. And it was only once I achieved that goal of financial freedom that everything would be okay. And by the way, that goal of financial freedom at that point was $40 million. That's where I had to get to in order to be okay.
Wow.
And it just ultimately, I woke up. I had many awakenings up until that point. But this is what I call, you know, my third level awakening, the one that was really painful. The ones before that kind of felt good. The first one was like my awakening into my woman. You know, that felt really good. Then the next one was awakening into oneness and like feeling the truth of the oneness awareness. That felt really good. But my third level awakening, my awakening into the reality of how I had created disconnection through my path to success, was a hard one to swallow. And I ended up leaving LA and moving to Colorado and deconstructing everything, my personality, my brand, my image, my protections. I ended up moving to a farm for a year. I bought a farm and I moved there for a year after trying to create community and it failing. And I lived there for a year and asked myself the question of who am I? What do I choose to do if money doesn't matter? What are the things that I would do just because my heart says, yes, do it? And through that time, I discovered Ali Shanti, this other part of me. I reconnected with my kids, created relationship with them. I connected to my businesses and my work in the world in an entirely new way. And I let go of the image, the brand, the reputation, everything. I filed bankruptcy, actually, during that year. And I discovered something that I now understand to be financial liberation. And today, I'm living the reality of financial liberation. Not because I have $40 million. I don't. I don't have much in the bank at all. Because I give immensely from my heart. I follow what my heart says today. I have an actual relationship with my heart. And I am living both as Alexis Neely and Ali Shanti here in Colorado. I'm running 2 businesses. I have a multitude of relationships, people that I feel deeply connected to. And there's a lot of challenge in my life, but the way that I relate to that challenge today is not adversarially. I see myself as an ally with these challenges, that we are working together to expand my capacity to feel, to create more compassion for myself and others, and ultimately to create this world that I saw in that first ayahuasca ceremony, a world that truly does work for everyone. And the path to that is completely different than what I thought. You know, I had these very Pollyanna ideas of what that meant. And I'm seeing now that many of them were blind, misguided. They came from a good place, but a confused place. And so today I feel more awake and aware than I ever have before. And I also see my blind spots, and I still have them. And I'm still working through them and showing up every day anew with forgiveness and as much love in my heart as I possibly can muster. And that's where I am today. There's probably a lot more to say, but it's a good start.
Thank you for sharing that wonderful story. A lot of what I didn't know about you. But I'm really curious, what does financial liberation mean to you
Yeah.
in this moment? based on what your old paradigm was of financial freedom and chasing after the $40 million and all of that, which is, something that I think a lot of us in this day and age have come to recognize as what we've been trained to want to desire as human beings. So I'm really curious what financial liberation means to you now.
So financial liberation is knowing that you can earn what you need, when you need it, on demand, being all of who you are. And when you experience financial liberation, you don't have to hoard resources anymore. One of the big problems in our society is not that there's not enough. It is that what we have is stuck in places it doesn't need to be because of what I've identified as money dysmorphia. And money dysmorphia is the distorted view that most people have of finances that causes us to make really poor decisions around time, energy, and attention. Time, energy, and attention are our non-renewable resources. And once they are invested poorly, you cannot get them back. Whereas money is infinite. It's printed by the government. And if you know how to give what you have and ask for what you need in return, you can tap into that money flow and receive the energy. But where most of us get stuck is that we don't have an accurate view of what we actually have, or what we have to give, or what we need, or how to ask for it. So today, I'm in really close relationship with all of those pieces. And what that means is I don't have to hoard. So it doesn't matter that I don't have $40 million because I know exactly what my businesses need to do to ask, to give what they have, to ask for what they need in return so that they can support not just me, but the 15 other people on my teams. And it's a constantly evolving process. It's something that I have to look at regularly. I used to be so afraid to look at my numbers that I built $1 million businesses just so I didn't have to look. There was so much waste in that because I wasn't looking. And so, I would just throw money at problems. That's broken here. Let's hire that person to fix it. But that person couldn't even fix it. They were just saying they could fix it, and I would believe them and throw money at it. I still do that on occasion sometimes. Sometimes I'm still blind, but I get more and more wake-up calls, and I see more and more. And so today, I don't make my choices based on what's going to bring me the most money. I know that I have lots of ways to make money, and I know exactly how much I need. And so I get to choose total personal sovereignty about who I work with, what I do with them, how I do it, when I do it, why I do it, without money as my compass. Money is not telling me where to go. Money is the fuel that will get me there. But what's telling me where to go is my heart. And I get to have a really honest conversation with myself so I can listen to my heart, which I'm still practicing, by the way, and know when it's a yes or a no, not based on do I need something, but based on does my heart desire me to go forward in this direction, knowing that the money will be there to fuel it if I'm a yes. Because I know how to ask for what I need in exchange for what I have to give.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that insight. I think there are many that are money driven in this society. And so for you to share what you just shared, I think that's going to be a nice little wake up call for many people as it was for you. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, and that's the title of my next book, actually. It's Enough, the money wake up call that will reclaim your time, energy, and attention in service to a life worth living.
Beautiful. I'm looking forward to when that comes out. I'd love to read it and then, of course, share it with as many people as I can. Love your wisdom, and I think you could help. You have helped a lot of people, and I think you continue to do so in a really powerful way. So my next question to you is: what are you striving for in this moment? What is it that Ali wants out of life, and what do you want to learn?
What I want more than anything, I would say, is internal harmony. Um, uh, that's my biggest challenge, is dealing with my own internal conflicts, because everything we see outside of ourselves is a reflection of our own internal consciousness. So I know that when I can fully resolve the conflicts within and integrate all parts of myself, that what I see outside of myself will shift tremendously. So any places that there is still conflict, any places that there is still, that, it's all originating here. So I'm striving to show up for each moment with as much peace and calm responsiveness as I possibly can, and to eliminate the reactive part of me. Eliminate is not really the wrong word, but maybe better be with the reactive part of me, so that she can come up, but she doesn't need to come out. Instead, when I feel her come up, I can set a boundary, like, I need to take space right now. And then I can come back to myself and be with the reactive part of me until she feels me being there with her, rather than expecting other to make that reactive part of me feel better in some way.
Um, I felt something going on here because that's where I've been challenged, in this last couple of weeks, and what's caused a lot of dissonance and suffering for me. Not being able to be with that reactive part of me, not being able to manage that reactive part of me, which caused some really intense experiences, I should say. So thank you for sharing that. That's what I'm striving for as well. And very similarly, the internal conflict within me, finding that harmony is something that I'm so longing for. And in my Qigong practice this morning, that was something that was coming up for me, is like, what do I need to do to just be okay? Just be okay. And, so I'm searching.
Yeah, I found the book, The Surrender Experiment, to be a big one for me. I think mostly because in this book, this man tells the story of his surrender experiment and the life that it took him to. And it both satisfied the left brain part of me that wants to have success. He achieved a lot of success in his life through surrender. And it satisfied the part of me that knows that the path is surrender. So it brought those two parts into harmony, to see that I could both surrender and have the success that the part of me that wants success longs for. And it's really this path to just getting out of my own way. So that's been a really good resource for me to remember, because we already know, you already have the answers. I already have the answers, but we have to remember them because they've been conditioned over through the core generational wounds that we, I believe, are here to heal.
I'm going to pick up that book. I'll just say that. I've heard about it before, absolutely. But I think that's one of the next steps is getting into the reading of that and soaking up the knowledge that book has to share. Sounds like exactly what I could be needing at this time.
Great.
So with this production that we're going to be doing, this documentary series, the main purpose of it is to really share with people what the Evo Room experience is all about. Because as we have been doing the Evo Room, one of the things that comes up a lot from people is once they experience it, they say, wow, I had a lot of fear coming up for me, as most people do when they dive into personal development. I had a lot of fear of, experiencing the Evo Room. And what I'd like to dispel is some of the preconceived notions that people have when they have interest in doing the Evo Room or any other personal development. And so what we want to do is follow several people through their journey prior to entering the Evo Room, during their experience in the Evo Room, and then afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, when you had sent a message and reply in response to, I call out to those that are interested, I'm curious, what is it that interested you in reaching out and saying, yes, I'm interested in being a part of this?
Well, I've been wanting to experience the Evo Room experience. I don't feel totally 100% connected to even what it is, other than seeing various things that you've said about it, and I think that I supported the fundraiser that you did, and I just sense it's something great. And for me to experience it as part of a documentary would be really worthwhile for me, because I can't even tell you how long I have dreamed about creating documentary content. In fact, I hired somebody to film me and my life for 4 months. And I never did anything with the content. I have 2 terabytes of
Oh, wow.
yeah. And what I finally realized after that experience is that if it's going to happen, it's not going to be because I do it. It's not going to be because I push it forward. I'm a generator on the human design system. And as a generator, my job is to respond and not to initiate, not to be like, hey, let's go out and do this thing. And that, which has been my MO most of my life. That's my not self operating. That's my ego. And when I operate from that place, I'll constantly hit a frustration level, which I do every time. But actually, when I'm operating in my true self, my non-ego self, my job is to sit back and wait for things to come into my field. And then I'm supposed to respond after a full emotional cycle has passed. I can't tell you how hard that is for me, because I'm like, yay, let's do it. So I believe that if I'm going to make documentary style content, it's going to be something that somebody else is doing, and that they're saying, hey, this thing, we're doing this thing, are you interested? And then I will feel into it through an emotional cycle and then be a yes. And so I guess I'm starting that process by responding to you and saying, hey, I'd be interested in exploring that. And then if you're a yes, then I can feel into my deeper yes as well.
Beautiful. Just in this conversation, and also, my experience of you from the times that, we've interacted, and most of the time it's just been short, quick, collisions, that we've had. I just feel like there's such deep wisdom within you. And every time that you share something with me, it's like, wow, that's really amazing stuff. And so when you reached out in response to my call out, I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting, having this interview with her, and, feeling into being able to document your life. I mean, you have some interesting stuff, everything from your romantic relationships to the businesses that you do to your experiences at Burning Man. I mean, come on, like there's, it doesn't stop with, just amazingness that flows through. And so in my opinion, I think you would be a perfect candidate for this documentary because of that wisdom that you share. And in terms of entertainment value, I mean, yeah, like entertainment to the max, I would say.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to see what unfolds from this. Immediately, like when I check in right now, it absolutely would be a yes. And so, of course, after allowing you to go through your emotional cycle and see what comes up for you after that, I'm really curious to see what actually plays out.
Yeah, I think that the things that I would need to know is like what is the commitment that I'm making, what sort of time frame, and what would be needed from me, so that I can really show up for it. So that I can know what I'm saying yes to, and then show up for it fully. Sometimes in the past, when I say yes too soon, it's because I didn't actually know what I was committing to. And so I'll be like, yeah, let's do it. It's great. But then then we get into it and I'm like, wait a minute. I actually didn't even ask any questions and I don't know what I'm committing to. It's part of the boundaries issue. And so if you want to share that now, or you can share it, whenever the time is right. But that would definitely be part of the process for me of determining if it does make sense is what am I saying yes to?
Beautiful, great questions. At this point, we don't know exactly what the commitment will be. The process that we're undergoing right now is having these interviews first, really wanting to determine, who are the candidates that we think would be the best candidates for the documentary series, and then having a conversation afterwards to see kind of what your schedules are like as individuals, and then from there we could really have a gauge of, okay, here's what availability the candidates have at this point, and here's what type of documentary series we can create with that. Because I think what's most important for us is having the right people, and with that we can design the series around that and how we produce it. So that's where we are at this point.
Cool. Great. Do you have any sort of a time frame at all right now of like when the Evo event would be?
I would love to have it right before Burning Man.
Got it.
And that's where I'd like to begin production, because I'd like to, for those that go to Burning Man, I'd love to document that experience inside of it. I think that would be really awesome as part of the series itself.
Well, that's been a big dream of mine for sure, is to document the Burning Man experience. This year, I go for early arrival and I stay, I'm there like 2 weeks. This year I'm going for 4 days. I'm flying in. I'll fly in on Monday and fly out on Thursday probably. I'm doing some talks while I'm there. And yeah, it'll be a shorter, kind of more directed experience this time. And I don't know this year, like I won't be going in my RV or anything. I'll be going just with my backpack
Nice.
and figuring it out once I get there.
That was me my first year, and I was a little afraid going in like that, but it all worked out so perfectly. Because I was offered like the whole RV, and I wanted to rough it. I'm like, I'm gonna go in there and just not know. I don't need to know anything. I'm not gonna get super uber prepared for it. But it all worked out so perfectly, as it always does if you just surrender. And ultimately what I did.
Yeah.
And it was a very magical experience. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it unfolds for you, being that this is a unique way of you experiencing Burning Man. And how many times have you been?
I think this will be my 9th year.
9th year. Wow. So you're a vet for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've done it all sorts of ways. Well, that's not true. I've always had an RV, although one year I went for just 2 days. I flew in and out for just 2 days, but this would be a longer time without having that stable ground. And I have Camp Mystic, so I feel totally held and supported. It's just a matter of like, okay, who wants me to sleep in their bed tonight?
And you'll have plenty of options.
Plenty, sure.
Plenty of options. So I've asked all the questions that I feel like I needed to ask. I think we got some great information out of you. Now, take this moment to answer any questions that you might have.
I don't really have any at this time. Just when you have logistical information, reach out to me and we'll see if we can make it work from a scheduling perspective. That's always the biggest challenge for me right now is my time. Because I do have a lot going on with businesses and kids and relationships. But if I, can make it happen and be there, I'm very interested.
Beautiful. Well, I hope we can create a schedule that works within yours so that we can make this happen. I think it would be just really awesome to have you as part of the documentary series. I think you have a lot to share, a lot of wisdom to share, a lot of fun stuff that I know that we would be able to experience out of it. And just producing it with you, I think, would be a really fun experience in and of itself. So my intention is for it to work out, and hopefully the universe responds to that.
Well, thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful night, and I look forward to hearing from you soon and just sending you so much love. All of it.
You're welcome, and thank you for taking the time to do this. And much love to you. Many blessings. Thank you for sharing the beautiful information you shared today, Ali.
All right, that's CJ.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.